Hey, I'm Taylor. Um, for my activity this week, I decided to interview my aunt who has two kids that are adopted and also biracial. One of them is half Mexican, and the other one is half like Polynesian. And I decided to interview her because it's something close to home, which, because she's my aunt, I just thought it'd be interesting to find out a little bit more about it. And because I thought I wanted to know more about adoption and how kids with different ethnicities um, feel. And so, first, I asked her if she thought that her kids were treated any differently. First, because they're adopted, and second, because of their ethnicity. And um, I going in, I was expecting mostly to think to hear her say they feel like they're at a disadvantage and that they're not as good as the other kids or is the way that they feel, but that's not what she said. She said that they are actually at an advantage because they're in a much better place than they would have been if they weren't adopted, which I didn't really think about before because I felt like, I don't know, I was just thinking that they would just feel like they're at a disadvantage because they weren't born into a family and that they had to go through all these hardships to get to where they are. But it's just not exactly what I expected. And it definitely goes against my core beliefs because I feel like everyone should have an equal opportunity. And I think adoption is a super good thing because it allows those kids to find a better home and somewhere where they can succeed and be in a better place. And let's see. Something I felt that was most interesting or important is that she talked about how even though her kids are Mexican and Polynesian, that they still have the same opportunities as everyone else, but sometimes they don't get treated like that. And she said that she's noticed the kids that come in with blonde hair and blue eyes seem to be more favored by the teachers. And I don't think that's right because I feel like the teachers should, and I don't think the teachers are doing this on purpose, but I think that it's definitely something that happens and that as we're going into this profession of teaching that we need to be aware of. And she said that at first, until that they got to know her kids and things that they that she felt like they were treating them different than the other kids, and she didn't like that. And once they started getting to know her kids and realizing that they were smart and things, that they didn't really do that anymore. But it's the initial right off the bat stereotype that all Mexicans are illegal immigrants or just different things like that. I think for sure this will impact my relationship with future students because mostly just like what we've said before, a lot of times is just making sure that you don't judge your students right off the bat, to make sure that you, when they can walk into your classroom, that they're treated just like everyone else and that you can make accommodations for those kids that are having a hard time because there could be foster kids that don't have a family yet and that have a hard home life or that are struggling with parents that aren't good, that don't take care of their kids. And I think it's important that as a teacher you pay attention to the things that your students come into the classroom with, and that you try and get to know your students well enough so that you can make accommodations for them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I just think make sure everyone's treated equally and that you give everyone the opportunity to succeed.